This episode of the AI XR podcast is brought to you by our friends at Zapper. If you're in the XR space, you've probably felt the pain of juggling different tools, vendors, and platforms just to get an AR or VR project off the ground. It's exhausting, and it can really slow you down. That's where Zapper comes in. They've built a complete suite of tools and creative services all under one roof to make creating immersive experiences not just possible, but practical. Their next gen 3D web tool, Mattercraft, is a game changer for building immersive experiences for headsets, smartphones, and AR, VR, and WebXR. It combines the power and flexibility of the 3JS rendering engine with a rich visual editor, making it super intuitive and easy for designers and developers to use. Put simply, you get the creative freedom of a powerful 3D engine with none of the headaches. So if you're ready to take your immersive projects to the next level, head over to zapper.com and see what they can do for you. Good morning, everybody. I'm Charlie Fink with Ted Schilowitz and Rony Abovitz. It's the AI XR podcast. Today is April 25th, 2025. Good morning, guys.
Morning, gentlemen.
So taking the internet by storm this week was this unbelievable meme that was posted by Canadian comedian Jonathan LaJoy. Let me just play a quick part of it. I'm sure you've heard it.
Welcome to the Talking Baby podcast. On today's episode, we'll be talking to the weird-looking person who lives at my house. Thanks for being here, weird-looking person.
Well, thanks for having me. As you know, you are my third favorite person in the world, third behind the two larger people that we also live with. They're both
He's talking
awesome.
to a dog.
So cool. You're fine, and right now those two larger people are both busy and not paying attention to me at all. So I'm happy to chat with you.
So to kick things off, I want to ask you a question, and I apologize in advance if it's naive or ignorant. Look, I'm a baby. I don't really know stuff
a
yet,
talking
so
baby. Unbelievably good video. It's an avatar that is a talking baby, and he's talking like a bro who has a podcast. And on the podcast is this little Boston Terrier. Anything having to do with anthropomorphic animals cracks me up. But this one is worth tracking down.
Is this the Google podcast
technology? I believe, and I have not confirmed this, to be fair, I believe it is Notebook LLM, which is Google podcast generator, and Captions, which has just introduced these avatars. So you basically set your characters, you use Notebook LLM, and you're off to the races. There are several companies that are doing this. I think it's Captions, but I don't have any confirmation.
I have a weird, it's not a news thing we'll break yet today, but I'll give you guys a preview. A friend of mine reached out to me. I won't get into too much detail, but she was playing with this and she's like, that's my voice inside that no one has permission. It was like the Scarlett Johansson her moment. She's like, then she sent me, I'm like, that's you. She's like, why am I there and why am I default setting for this thing? So it's kind of, it was really, we had a whole interesting thing about like the theft of identity and your personality and your voice and your three-dimensionalness and all this kind of stuff that's going to be happening.
As Ted said, you need an air gap safe word these days. So
yes.
You can't be faked.
Well, in the world we live in today, computers have always done really interesting things with creativity broadly, right? So now we're in an age of interesting things going viral. In the age of YouTube, it was Charlie bit my finger. A horse bites a little kid's finger. That gets more views than any piece of content on the planet for a period of time. Here we are in the age of AI, where these strange little anomalies.
Well, so did the dancing baby that was made by...
I was going to say Alec McBeal dancing baby.
McBeal back in the day, sure.
Sure. All right, so...
If you don't know what that is, Google Alec McBeal dancing baby.
Yeah,
I mean,
we're all old
just
enough
that
to know what it is.
regurgitated,
Yeah.
But, Shelley Palmer made an interesting comment about it. He said, we're just months away from living in a world where any given image, especially in media, marketing, e-commerce, and presentations, has a high likelihood of being AI generated. Mm-hmm. The political, cultural, economic, and creative implications will be massive.
Yeah, I mean, this is, when you think about cybersecurity companies that emerged out of nothing, and when cyber became a problem, you had to have security firms that became humongous companies, right? Multi-billion-dollar valuation companies. Now you have a whole wave of companies, startups mostly, trying to figure out how to qualify reality from artificial reality and give someone some sense of believability that this is actually a true representation of something versus a synthesized
I
representation.
have friends in Europe who have a startup focused just on that, how to confirm that this is Ted that we're talking to right now,
Yeah.
and your voice and what you're
I
saying
think there are
is you.
several startups focusing on this sort of verifying.
Yeah, I'm involved in one. Yeah, that's called SureMark. That is actually one of the founders of the blockchain is behind it. So it's
Yeah, that's a really, really good idea. And I think it'll
Yeah.
be probably this time next year when we're swimming in a sea of undifferentiated synthetic content, we'll be begging for that. You know, that way you could filter it if you wanted.
That means a film, it's basically DRM again.
Yes.
You know, digital rights management for everything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So here's a fun story. Infinite Reality. Remember them? They bought our
Yes.
sponsor. They bought our sponsor, Zapper. My company, with whom I am loosely affiliated with Forbes, just ran the ultimate takedown of these guys.
Mhm.
So apparently, you remember they mysteriously got $3 billion from a quote unquote family office that was unidentified. First of all, that's a ridiculous amount of money for even a roll up strategy like they have. They were going to be, I guess, listed on the NASDAQ markets, which is not the official NASDAQ, but it's an exchange run by NASDAQ. So, you know, it was a roll up strategy. It was all kind of, I wouldn't say it just was suspicious, right? I mean, that's a lot of money. They got a huge valuation, like a $16 billion valuation. So that raised.
Is she in Denmark?
That raised eyebrows at Forbes, and they found a trail of disinformation and lawsuits. Nobody knows if the money is real, although, you know, John Acunto, who's the CEO, has, you know, been at Web Summit and TechCrunch. He's a pretty well-known techie guy and seems to know what he's doing. So anyway, I emailed Casper, the CEO.
Oh yeah. What did he
And I
say?
said, Casper, what is up? And he said, I would just like you to know, no transaction is closed. We remain an independent company.
Oh wow. Interesting.
So I don't think he's got any more news than we do. I believe he believes that they are going forward, but obviously,
So is the 3 billion real or not real?
we don't know. It was very inconclusive. The Forbes story was inconclusive. You know, there's a board member is suing them for financial information. I mean, how do you get there? Right? Where you've got board members you don't want to confide in, I guess, or who's trying to undermine the company in some way. So, like, how do you get there?
Interesting. Guess we'll have to see what happens.
And we've had several people from Infinite Reality, aside from Casper, on the show, including their CTO and Ann Hand from Super League. So, you know, these are real companies with real revenue. Super League used to be publicly traded. I don't know why they didn't use Super League as a vehicle to go public if they're acquiring it. But again, I'm not a finance, you know, or an M&A guy, but it just, the whole thing has not made a whole lot of sense to me. But I'm not an investigative journalist. As we've gone along, I haven't pressed them very hard. But I do think the whole thing was kind of weird. Where do you get, I mean, who gets $3 billion from a quote unquote family office and then doesn't disclose who it is? It sounds like you're doing business with an oligarch, you know, who doesn't want to be identified. So anyway,
I imagine there'll be more to the story.
More to come. Yeah. But Forbes usually is pretty, right. I'm not used to Forbes writing an investigative report like that. It's very, very weird. So we've got Sam Liang is our guest. He is the CEO of Otter, the note taker app, but he's been involved in all sorts of things. He's coming to us in a few minutes. So while we're waiting for Sam, everybody, I just wanted to have a quick conversation about the upcoming Augmented World Expo in June. It's a big event. Ted and I are there every year. We're going to be recording an episode of the podcast live on the AWE stage. And, you know, we look forward to seeing the whole community there. It is expensive and people have to travel. So AWE has given us a few tickets to give away. And it's a $900 event, my friends. So all you need to do is send me an email. cdfink@gmail. The first email I get gets the ticket.
There you go.
So I'll look forward to hearing from somebody this weekend and awarding them a pretty expensive gift. We'll be giving away more tickets in the next few weeks, and hopefully we'll see you and some of our other listeners there in June.
Yeah, it's a fantastic show. We see all of our friends and colleagues there. It's a great gathering and social event, and we learn a lot of new things every year and report on them at the podcast during the show and then in the weeks after. So
they've got some great speakers, including for the first time Evan Spiegel from Snap.
Yeah.
And I think this is part of Snap's effort really to be part of the XR community and to promote its headset, which at some point they're going to release to the public, and it's gotten good reviews. So
I've used the Snap spectacles and demoed them, and it's these things are coming along. Like there's definitely the right chemistry that's being built in the labs all around the world, and now we just see who gets it more right. But that's exciting that that Evan's going to do that this year, and it'll be a lot of fun. So we encourage a lot of people to try and come, and
we'll see you there.
We'll probably have Ori on the show in
May 16th. Right? May 16th we have Ori.
Yeah, there you go.
So we should do an AW Week ticket giveaway on May 16th.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Other news, there is a free music generator that I guess is going to be kind of a social platform called Refusion. So it does for free what you pay Suno to do, but it's sort of shared publicly, I guess. I haven't used it yet, but the music generators are coming almost as fast and furious as the image generators. So
I was reading about one similar called Gen, which is taking the let's call it ethical approach of not allowing the world scraping and only taking qualified music tracks and allowing people to modify those tracks with the artist's permission. I think there's probably some, strategic and logistic things that have to make that work, but at least there's someone attempting a contrarian view on that. I think it's called Gen.
That's probably how it has to end up in the end, like Napster didn't really survive in the end.
Yeah, although they do keep surviving.
They were
somehow.
Acquired by Infinite Reality, dude.
They do keep surviving somehow. Maybe they have, maybe they haven't. I guess we'll have to see.
Yeah, well, I mean, that would be bad for all those companies to be unacquired. That would really be disappointing. So a couple of things in the world of AI and filmmaking. There is a company that just announced $5.5 million of funding to make AI films. Where is that company? Oh, here it is. It's the producer of The Expendables, Jonathan Younger, and they are making a pipeline for creating AI films and have a whole slate of their own films. So apparently the pipeline is going to be open. And, pipeline is what AI filmmaking really needs, because right now it's sort of assembled in pieces from various different generators. So if anybody could get an all-in-one solution, the world would beat a path to their door.
Yeah. Well, and this is an expected outcome. We're seeing a number of companies like this, like our friends at Curious Refuge are doing a version of this. They married up with Promise Studios doing it.
Yes.
Our buddy Eric Shamlin is involved with Secret Level, which is doing it. That's just off the top of my head. There's probably another 20 or 30 that are attempting this model of using this technology to drive some sort of logical workflow around, motion picture making, creation making. By the way, just as an aside, because I've been talking about it with a lot of my friends, in the real world of real filmmaking, not AI related, the show Adolescence on Netflix is a wonder to behold. It's all one shot, all created with this DJI multi-gimbal camera. And if you haven't seen it, or our listeners haven't seen it, it is absolutely worth a watch, both from its technical prowess and the way that it builds story and just the level of accomplishment of what is created with this show. It's really a remarkable piece of work. Just
Ted, we'd be remiss if we also didn't bring up The Studio on Apple TV.
Yeah, which is I haven't watched yet. It's still on my list.
It is funny. It is a little too
live
familiar.
That life, guys. No, you guys will find so many familiar.
All of my friends have told me I'm queued up for it. I've got to get the last
hysterical. It's hysterical. You have to give credit to them. It's just ridiculously hysterical, and it's like, especially Fred, if you've had Ted, and Charlie, you guys have been in that world. You'll
Yeah.
find so many. I mean, Charlie's seen it, so
That's what everybody's
you just
saying.
need to binge it this weekend, Ted.
It's sort of an updated version of The Player, which is a film that I just love.
Yeah, which I love. Yeah.
Tim Robbins also researched that film by hanging out with my boss at Disney Live Action. So there was always a rumor that his character was based on David Hoberman, who is, a very movie handsome guy wearing very expensive suits. But of course, now studio executives aren't suits, but they still have to wear very expensive clothes.
I think that the section with Scorsese, where he's just lying to his face, you have to see it. It's like it's a gem. That's a classic for all time.
Yeah,
Good.
absolutely. So I'm wondering if Sam is in.
I see Sam's Otter.ai.
Yeah, his
Sam is
note
here
paper-
as an AI. Hi, Otter.
It says, "Hey Otter."
Hey, Otter.
Hey Sam.
I'm so sorry. I somehow thought it was 8:30 at my time. To realize I'm 15 minutes late.
No
We
problem.
interviewed Otter for about 10 minutes.
I'm
He told us everything about you.
I'm terribly sorry. I'm terribly sorry.
Not a problem, but it's nice to meet you, and thank you for coming on our show.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
Otter is everywhere. That was one of the things we were talking about. So when you listen to the podcast, you'll hear us talking about our own experiences with Otter, which are, overwhelmingly positive, although the AI did not perform well in your absence.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, this is not my avatar. We have a separate prototype, which is a Sam's avatar. That it's a personalized agent that trained on a lot of my previous meetings. We could let you talk to it at some time. It can better represent me.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Well, I've given you the power to screen share anytime you want, Sam.
Oh,
because we exchanged emails in which you said you might want to do that. Of course, keeping in mind that we have to describe what we're seeing because a very small fraction is watching this on YouTube. Almost everybody is listening to it.
I see. Yeah, I'm happy to show a couple of demo videos.
Well, before we do that, let's just do a little get to know you housekeeping, because I was going over your bio while we were waiting for you to teleport in, and I saw that you were mixed up with Google Maps, which is probably one of the most important pieces of technology, and certainly other people have maps, but at least for me, because I live in the Google ecosystem, not the Apple ecosystem, Google is, deeply embedded in my life, in maps in particular, because I always turn on maps when I'm driving, unless I'm going a very short distance.
Right. Yeah, happy to give some background.
Yeah.
Maybe before I start, Ronnie, actually, you were in the Docomo Venture Summit or something like that.
I was telling everybody that I met you and used Otter at NTT Docomo keynote talk at the big site, January 2020. My first time using Otter, and I was speaking in English and it was translating it into Japanese for everybody. It was great.
Right. Thank you for remembering that.
I think we met on stage. I think you were at the conference.
Yes, exactly.
Just before the pandemic, like 30, 45 days before the world shut down, I got to meet you in Tokyo. So it's really great to see you again.
Great to see you again. It's I remember those times. There was already some cases, COVID cases in Japan at that time. But it was before the shutdown. So, cool.
It was actually it was interesting, Sam. You're one of the last people I met in the world before, coming back to the United States, I think within a month things shut down. So like I used to meet all kinds of amazing people every week or so, and you were one of the very last. Like that, like being in Tokyo at that time at the NTT Docomo conference, it felt like being in a science fiction movie, and it was so optimistic and so amazing. And then you just could not see that within a month or two, the globe was just going to go zip, and that was going to shut down. It was kind of a very weird moment. Sorry, guys, we're going down a rabbit hole, but like Sam sort of brought back a little of like just before COVID, pre-nostalgia.
Yeah, I can probably find your speech on Otter because I recorded it using Otter at that time.
Oh, that would be pretty interesting. I wonder what the heck I said.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Yeah, I was the tech lead for Google Map location platform back in 2006, almost 20 years ago. God.
Was that around when they bought Keyhole?
I think it's about that time. Yeah. Although I didn't directly work with them, I think Keyhole provided the satellite images. But I was focusing on getting location data. Actually, the first project I started at Google was a project. At that time, there was no 3G. So if you're working on a street, there is no internet service. The first project I was working on was trying to put Wi-Fi routers on the light poles on the street so that you can always get Wi-Fi in the city.
I remember that initiative. I remember that Google was promoting that and talking about that as an initiative to sort of transform metropolitan areas into giant hotspots. It was a kind of a big deal for a little while until
Yeah, that's what Helium tried to do,
yeah,
that
yeah,
individuals.
until
Yeah.
the cell network sort of took over, and didn't transpire that way. But Sam, maybe go back for our listeners to a little bit of background on you. So I presume you're calling us from Silicon Valley area, somewhere in that.
Oh yeah, I'm in our office in Mountain View.
Mhm.
We're about 10 minutes drive to Google's headquarters in Mountain View.
And how big is the company now? Like, give us a little history of Otter and because that's what we were asking the Otter.ai. We were trying to get some background on it. Give us the story behind it. How is it started, and where is it today? And it's obviously become quite successful. So
Yeah, absolutely. We started 2016. That was before AI became household buzzword. The idea was that we realized that human beings have been talking to each other to communicate for hundreds of thousands of years. However, almost all the voice data was lost in human history. If you think about it, we never heard from Shakespeare, we never heard from Charles Darwin. Most of the voice data was lost. And in the modern days, we all have meetings all the time. I had like, I don't know, maybe 8 or 10 meetings yesterday. With all the back-to-back meetings, it's really hard for me to remember anything. Not to mention following up on the promises and action items I promised other people I would do. So we figured that it's actually super important to digitize human conversations and make everything searchable. That's why we started Otter 2016. We had this ambitious, crazy idea that we say, hey, we're going to record all the conversation in the world, no matter where it happens. I worked at Google before, so I was thinking, maybe I can borrow Google's mission statement. Google's mission statement is organize the world's information to make it universally accessible and useful. I said, what about the voice information? Because most of the voice information was even not even captured. I said, I would organize world voice information and make it universally accessible and useful. So that's sort of the initial premise, to record everything and also make everything searchable and shareable. The conversation we have here could be useful to share with other people. A lot of our internal meetings, actually, we share all the meeting notes with all the meeting attendees. But even beyond that, we build a workspace system that's similar to Slack's workspace with channels. It allows most of our internal team meetings universally accessible by most of our company employees, so that we reduce information silos and make sure everyone is informed and can find information whenever they need to. That's how we started. And another crazy action we took was to build our own AI technology to do speech recognition. At that time, there was Siri, there was Google Voice API, Microsoft Voice API, or Alexa. People thought, hey, how could a new startup even compete with the big guys? However, after we tested their APIs, we found that their system actually didn't work for long-form multi-speaker conversations, which are much more complicated than the Alexa or Siri use case. For when you use Siri, it's a one person asking a short question. So most of their models were trained to serve that purpose. But once you have 3 people, 5 people talking for an hour, that model didn't work. So we actually built our own model to do high accuracy, low latency transcription. So yeah, for this meeting, for example, Otter, let me double check. It should be working to generate a real-time transcript.
Were you the first in the space to do this long form transcription? Because obviously now Zoom has it built into its system, so they've been developing that in tandem, and there's other companies that do it. But were you the sort of initiator of this philosophy of recording and transcribing this at
So
this type of way?
We are the first. You mentioned Zoom. You probably don't know that actually back in 2017, only 1 year after we started, Zoom actually heard about us and came to us because their customers asked them to provide transcript, but Zoom didn't have that technology. They got bidding from many other companies I mentioned earlier to license the technology to Zoom. Zoom actually heard about us and tested us against all the other big players, and they were surprised our accuracy was way higher than them. And Zoom actually licensed our technology between 2017 and 2023. All the transcript, if you ever see any transcript on Zoom, was generated by our AI engine. So we actually enabled Zoom to build transcript and a real-time transcript as well. As we speak, the transcript is being generated on Zoom. As they're the first video conferencing system that provide this capability. Microsoft and Google all came a little later. We are the one who actually enabled Zoom to do that. So
Sam, question for you, because you built your own AI backend. Are you finding it complex to, keep up with this race? You need more NVIDIAs, are you in a race with OpenAI or Anthropic, or do you feel like you have your own path and your own unique way to do things?
We have our own path, our own unique way. Over these years on Zoom platform, we process billions of meetings, billions. In our own product, Our own product is separate from Zoom. It's completely independent. You can use Otter with Zoom, or you can use it with Microsoft Teams or Google Meet or WebEx. So we're platform agnostic. People are, we have like hundreds of millions of hours meeting on our own system, which actually gave us one of the biggest voice data set in the world. Anthropic, OpenAI, they mostly they train their model mostly on written documents. They actually don't have as much voice data as we do. In the meantime, because we have 25 million users now, and we're gaining more than 1 million users every month, every day, there are more voice data being generated on our platform. So we actually have a unique advantage to build the best of voice AI. It's funny, actually, if you search on Google, the Whisper model, when people use a Whisper model to generate transcripts, sometimes they generate a line that says powered by Otter.ai. It's funny that it shows that they were actually using the transcript generated by us to train Whisper's model.
Oh, it'll say that in there. That's interesting.
Yeah, because
It's like Dostoevsky, Crime and Punishment. You can't hide the guilt; it comes out.
Yeah, and we didn't know that before, and some users noticed that and posted on the internet. So maybe fast forward, now we have crossed $100 million in ARR. We have 25 million users. They're using this to take meeting notes for both internal meetings and external meetings. Internal meetings, with their colleagues in the company. There are tons of meetings like that. But there's also external meetings like sales meetings, meetings with external consultants, or interviews. A lot of recruiters use Otter to interview job candidates. A lot of reporters, Otter is actually probably the de facto tool for journalists when they interview, when they do their interview and need to get transcript, and then you get quotes from the transcript to write their article. So we have customers like NBC Universal. Almost all the major media companies are our customers.
Yeah, it's interesting because not all that long ago, most definitely in our lifetimes, us looking pretty much the same as we look now, that business was a manual business, right? There were transcription services in places where large media hubs were, like New York and LA, and you would basically feed recorded data, audio recordings to them, and they would transcribe it, right? And it wasn't technology; it was someone listening and typing. And it's amazing how far it's gotten, and how much competition is out there now for this, that is in the space. Fascinating.
For this call, actually, if you look at the Zoom chat, there is a URL in the Zoom chat. If you click on that URL, you can see the live transcript. Like, if you haven't seen it, I can.
Via Otter or via Zoom?
In the Zoom chat.
Yeah.
If you open the chat in Zoom, there's it gave you that URL. I can share my screen.
Yeah, we see a lot of text points that say "see full answer," and then that launches the Otter site. Yeah, and now I can see the entire transcript. Yeah.
Yeah. So
so could I get a live translation doing that?
We currently don't provide it, but it's definitely on our roadmap. What language would you like it?
No, I'm just asking. That's all.
Yeah. So we basically created the AI meeting assistant category. We're the biggest one on the market. We're platform agnostic. There's also a mobile app you can use on iPhone and Android.
Yes.
Our iPhone app won Apple's Editor Choice Award, and is frequently featured by Apple App Store. A lot of students use Otter for lecture notes as well.
Yeah, we were talking about that. I'm a
Mhm.
professor and I encourage people to do so. Although
Yeah,
many of my students are too lazy to do it, I think it is could be invaluable to a student to have those kinds of not only transcripts but summaries, so you can remember, what happened in class and any assignments you're given, and it's really good at finding and organizing that kind of information.
Sam, a
right.
question for you, for the entrepreneurs who listen to us. You're an interesting place because you are not owned by somebody, you're independent, you've built the company, you're generating a lot of revenue. What's it like being independent, not acquired, on your own? So, post the beginning of building a startup.
Yeah, yeah. You probably know how to build a startup. It's hard. It's hard. This is my second startup, actually. I left Google in 2010 and built a mobile startup first. Um,
This is the company that was sold to Alibaba.
yeah, it was. And it was super hard. The first startup, we built some really interesting technologies. We built um, a couple of pretty popular mobile apps, and we pioneered the concept of persistent location tracking. It was a very scary idea as well. We built a system on iPhone and Android that can understand your location at any time and then provide personalized services based on where you are. One application we built was for family members to see where everyone is at any time. We are the very first one who created that technology, actually. Um, and For Otter, it's a little easier than my first startup because with a good return on the first startup, I got some credibility. But still, it's difficult because of several reasons. One is that our idea was ahead of its time because most people are scared of being recorded. It's most people just don't see using a tool like this in their meetings because it's a very unconventional, or it's people are resistant to being recorded. People are afraid of, hey, liability or lawsuit, right? All that, which is understandable. But without using a tool like this, you're going to suffer a lot. People's brain is not good at remembering things. A lot of studies show that, probably within the week, you forget 70–80% of the time, the things you have heard. People forget. And that's one challenge. The other challenge is actually building the AI technology by ourselves from scratch. For Microsoft, Google, Amazon, Apple, I mean, each one have at least hundreds of PhDs working on the same problem. How do we even compete? This is, sort of the, somehow it's sort of the DeepSeek phenomena. OpenAI, Anthropic, have tens of billions of dollars of this small company in China, build a better model with, a tiny fraction of the budget.
Yeah,
Sometimes
it's
you just have to be brave. You have to think different. Yeah.
yeah, it's interesting that you mentioned, the trepidation that a lot of people have around every single thing being recorded. I would imagine if you polled, every politician that's ever existed in today's world of media, the fact that things can be found of them, basically contradicting themselves over and over and over again to the point of almost ludicrous. Now you extend it out to not just public comments that are made on camera when they're actually aware that they're being recorded on camera and have to remember and focus. It's just every piece being recorded constantly. I mean, the four of us are, we're being recorded a lot, right? I mean, we do this podcast, we do all kinds of other media stuff. So I think and then things can be misconstrued very often, right? Sometimes things are very obvious that people said things that they're now contradicting in the future, but more often I think people's fear is that in the world of social media and the world of what we do now and what AI can do with material, and who's to determine if that was even really ever said, it gets into this very difficult ethical challenge of truth and responsibility of these recordings, right? So I imagine you must have an ethics team that thinks about this, right, and deals with this.
Yeah, we have to deal with it. We have to, security is super important, privacy is super important. So we build really strong security model to make sure the data is encrypted. We even ourselves cannot access it. The user owns everything. If they want to delete anything, we erase everything on our system. We don't save a copy. So, that's a big psychological or I don't know what, ethical concern we have to overcome to change people's behavior. Now it's like 8 years later or 9 years later, the world is changing. This is why our product is being adopted really fast now because of the value it has created. And it does. Our users say that after they use Otter, on average, each one actually save 4 hours per week in terms of taking meeting notes or writing memos or share the meeting notes with their colleague just to collaborate and also to look for information when they need it. Otter search using the search or the Otter.ai chat in the app, they can get information really fast.
I have one more tech question, maybe Charlie, before you and Rony start to get into kind of wrap up mode. But I'm curious because I'm as you're talking, I'm looking and scrolling through the transcription in real time, and it is remarkably accurate. It is capturing pretty much everything at what I can very quickly see is probably very close to 100% correct with all of our accents and all of our different languages. Now it would be interesting if we had multiple languages going on at the same time, like you were doing it was transcribing. But my question from a tech standpoint is the compute tax for this, because of all the work that it's doing, is it extraordinarily compute intensive? Is it expensive on your side from a server standpoint to provide this service and how you make the economic case? Or is it because it's not doing visual, it's doing audio, it's relatively light on compute, even though it's extraordinarily accurate? So it's doing a lot of computing somewhere. The question is that expensive compute or not?
It is relatively expensive. However, because we built these technologies ourselves, we are able to optimize the algorithm so that we can keep the cost low. Compared to our competitors who use a third-party API, we're able to keep the cost low and pass that savings to our customers. This is why we have the most generous freemium model. Our users can sign up for free first and use Otter to transcribe a lot of conversations and before they decide to upgrade. Maybe I can show a quick demo of one of the latest agent we just released.
Sure. As you're pulling that up, does it do every known language in the world, or like how many languages can you qualify that Otter will work with?
We've been focusing on English, and we recently released the Spanish and French. We are working on more languages like Japanese, German. Eventually, we want to support all the languages.
Got it. So you're really focused on the English language, and then you're just adding a few others. So it's not a universal translator,
Hey,
transcriber.
this is Brian with Otter.
Yeah, not yet, not
Got
yet.
it. Understood.
We're moving toward that goal. Yeah. Otter is a horizontal product. Whether you're a reporter, you're a founder, or a PM, you can all use it for your meetings. But on top of that, we also build a vertical solution for salespeople because they have high volume of conversations with customers. They also need to save data and inject that into CRMs like Salesforce and HubSpot, which is a very tedious process. So we built this as a sales agent to help them, and also build a autonomous SDR agent that can talk to the customer completely on its own. So it's a agent that on autopilot to drive a meeting. So let me show you the quick demo video.
Otter.ai. Today, I want to talk to you about our SDR agent. It's brand new, and I'm going to give you a demo of what this looks like from our website. Imagine me as a prospect showing up, and the sales demo agent's going to interact with me. It's going to educate me, answer my questions about Otter, and ultimately get me in touch with a sales team that can help move me along. You'll get a really good idea of what this could look like for you, and having the agent on your own website to meet with people, talk with prospects and visitors, and move them along through your own funnel, educating them about your solution in the process. So let's go ahead and get started.
Has he disclosed at this point, Sam, that
Hi,
he
it's
is
great to meet
AI?
you. I'm Otter's AI agent.
Oh, it is.
I'm sorry, what's your question?
No, it answered it.
Okay.
Taking the time to chat with me. My goal is to understand what you are looking for and see how Otter can fit your needs. Feel free to jump in with questions or thoughts at any point during our conversation. I'd be happy to share more details or even walk you through a product demo whenever you're ready. So, what got you interested in Otter?
Yeah. I lead the sales team here at my company, and I'm interested in learning how Otter can help my reps take better notes and handle their post-meeting follow-up.
Absolutely. I can show you a live demo of our real-time transcription feature. Let's get started. I'll help demonstrate these features while explaining them naturally. Let me show you how the live transcription works by clicking on the Otter.ai demo conversation. Let me showcase one of our most powerful features, the live transcription capability. As conversations happen, you'll see words appear instantly on your screen with remarkable accuracy. What's even better is that participants can use the chat feature during live calls to ask questions or clarify points without interrupting the flow of the conversation. Would you like to see any other specific features in action?
This is really interesting. Can I try this for my team?
I'm glad you found it interesting. We can definitely support you with getting started for your team. Could you tell me about the size of your company?
Yeah, my sales team is 40 reps and then about 15 or 16 additional leaders that would need access to it.
The enterprise plan would be a great fit for your needs. You'll get custom pricing tailored to your organization's specific requirements. Could you share your email address with me? This will help me provide a personalized follow-up and share the conversation transcript after our call.
Yeah, it's BCHARLTON@otter.ai.
Thank you for providing your email address. Could you confirm if it's accurate?
It's accurate.
Thank you for confirming the email address. I'm sending a link in the Zoom chat for you to schedule a meeting with our sales team to discuss the enterprise plan for your 40 sales reps and 16 leaders. Would you please click on the link to set up a meeting?
All right.
Thank you for your enthusiasm. I'm glad to assist you with the next steps.
Yeah.
So we've only got a few minutes left to wrap up, Sam. I just wanted to let you know that.
Yeah. I stopped. I stopped the.
Yeah, Rony had to drop off because he had a meeting.
It's my fault.
No, not to worry, not to worry. But I do want to get some parting thoughts from you about what we can expect from Otter in the coming year, and anything else about AI really that is on.
We see that, the Otter agent that joined this meeting, you can actually ask it questions. I don't know if you asked it questions earlier, And later, this agent will become even proactive. Before you ask the question, when we're discussing something, when the agent detects a chance that it can contribute, it can start talking on its own. It can also take actions like create an action item for us to follow up, or schedule a follow-up meeting for us. So it can function as either another intelligent human colleague with actually almost infinite memory and super fast search speed, or a EA, executive assistant agent. It can get some job done when you just talk to it. So we see this agent can become even more proactive in meetings. The other direction is what I just demonstrated. It's a independent agent that can conduct a call with either a customer, or it could be a recruiter agent to talk to a job candidate completely on its own. So a lot of jobs can be done actually completely independently by the autonomous voice agent, which we're building.
Fantastic. Well, I can't wait to see how that develops. Thanks again for coming on the show. That's our show, everybody. We'll see you back here next Friday. And thanks again for listening.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sam. Really interesting interview. We really enjoyed it. Very, very illuminating.
Thank you. Thank you, Ted. I'll take care.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye, Sam.